Welcome to episode 18 of Inches and Cubes, the breakfast edition. Paul, Nick, and Adam in the morning.
It's not our joke, but it's a good one.
And Uncle Heffelfinger.
Yeah, he's back.
Fan favorite, contentious guest.
So today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Sons of Titan. Sit back, relax, and hold on tight.
Welcome back to episode 18 of Inches and Cubes, Sons of Titan, or as Simon is pushing for, Psychic Ninja Warriors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we changed it up today. It's really early in the morning on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Caesars in our hands. I made the boys some breakfast tacos for breakfast. Yeah, they were scrumptious.
Well, thank you, Nick.
And
Breakfast was
I'm
delicious.
oddly awake for 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
I wish I were dead.
You said you weren't going to drink last night.
I lied.
Guzzle that Caesar will help you out.
Yeah, but I showed up on time, except for the...
You did?
Yep.
And with all your stuff, unlike me?
Yeah.
They say success starts at 10 a.m.
Yeah, success gets rolling. It's a slow start. It's like tipping over a Coke machine. You rock it a little bit, and you take a
The
nap.
sign on the side says not to do that.
Sir, are you holding on
Not
to
on the
can?
wall. On the actual Coke machine. Paul looked at the wall when I said that for some reason.
You gesticulated towards the wall. But what we're going to be doing today is just talking about the Grey Knights. They're,
I think they're more silver than gray.
I mean, I didn't call them anything.
It's a gray area.
Alright, so let's start off with what we always start off with.
An independent characters recap?
We're going to talk about modeling and painting progress.
Yes. Yeah, we should probably change the name of that segment now that someone called it out deliberately.
You can start us off.
Sure.
It's an infiltrator.
Yeah.
Well, what did I get going on? So, I recently, as you guys might recall, went to a tournament in Ottawa, played my orcs, had a terrible time. Actually, I had a fun time, but things didn't go my way, and I'm really into them now. So I've started getting some really good weapons for my big tracks. So I've got 3 really nice Forge World big tracks, which are like halfway between a battle wagon and a truck.
You going to go with the Super Scorcher?
The Super Scorcher.
Oh man, I faced that. That was brutal.
So I got 3 of those. I've sort of kit bashed it and magnetized it out of the Redeemer flamer off of the Land Raider variant. It looks super to
nice.
me.
Yep.
And then I magnetized 2 like oil drums on the side of it, so it kind of makes it look like a bit more of a flame tank. And I can take all that apart. And that's kind of what I've been working on. I just need to undercoat it, and then I assume dry brush it with some sort of metallic,
There you
and
go.
then maybe layer another dry brush element, maybe some rust,
There you
Yeah.
go.
and then like get a little black tip on it for the fire where the carbonization has happened.
Yeah. How did your movement trays work at the tournament?
Well, maybe I can cover that in games played.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyone else
Dude.
have hobby progress? Adam, you got a little?
Yeah, so I got a tiny bit of personal, but then a lot of commission stuff. Doing a big Zinch order for a customer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we got Magnus coming up and got him all laid out with his armor all pinned onto one set of painting racks and his weapons and stuff all pinned onto another one. And
You gonna
just
go
really excited to start.
Shirtless Magnus?
No, he's going to be fully armored up.
Nipple horns?
Yeah, nipple horns and all. Yeah.
I've really come around on the nipple horns, I gotta say.
I love how like the instantaneous like hot take to Magnus when he came out was, "No, it's stupid. He's so multicolored. He's dumb." And like now he's like a classic model, and the same thing is happening with Mortarion, like before our very eyes. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he was leaked. Oh, he looks like a ladybug or something.
I was
Funny looking ladybug.
I was into the
messed up.
Mortarion model
Oh,
the
so-
second it dropped.
Yeah.
They're both amazing.
Still don't like the Gillian model.
No, he's got flared power armor like jeans. It's
I think he makes more sense in the context of Primaris Marines. I
yeah.
think that's my take on it.
He just reminds me of like the War Machine aesthetic.
Yeah, he really does.
Like that's
not a prime, especially when you see him the 30K model.
and yeah, he's got sweet cheekbones as opposed to the 30K one who
Right.
just like looks like Laurence Olivier.
Sorry to interrupt you, Adam.
That was a good rabbit trail. All right, yeah, so it's just Ahriman on a disc, some other sorcerers, Predator and Helldrake, which I'll paint for the first time. And I'm not looking forward to painting all those little veins of gold.
I'm
all
telling
over
you,
the
man,
whole
get
model.
a Sharpie.
Where did I hear that idea?
Shut up.
Get out. You wanted to be on this episode. So yeah, after getting shamed on,
I can't tell if he's hiding his face or dabbing.
Deep breath. Yeah, so made some infinity tokens for myself, which is pretty fun.
Okay.
And I took my repulsor out of the box, and I laid the sprues out on the desk, and I stared at them,
That's a
and that's as far as I got.
nice,
Cool.
nice.
Cool.
All right, Nick, what do you got?
Yeah, after getting shamed by myself and getting a little motivation, I started putting some paint down on my demon prints. Made some good progress.
Yeah, I looked at it. It looks nice.
Yeah.
Painty.
Yeah, details got to be done. It's mainly base colors and a few metallics.
Did you redo any of the joints on them to smooth out those connections we were talking about?
Yeah,
Sweet.
I used some liquid green stuff and got it in there, let it harden, and then shaved it down with a little bit of sandpaper.
Does that stuff work?
Yeah, it works really well. It's like over 24 hours, it goes rock hard. Yeah,
I've never used liquid green stuff.
I know you told us 2 episodes ago.
I haven't
true.
used it since. Honestly, I haven't done a huge amount. I cleaned up my workstation just because it was getting like really cluttered again,
That counts.
and then I just did the bases for the blood dragons because
Nice.
I was like, I need these done for when those models are completed. So just front load that work, and most of it's dry in time. So
Yep.
with the white glue and the carpenter glue, so it's just like, yeah, you dry while I do other stuff. And yeah, that's considering that we recorded a couple of days ago. Yeah, that's good. That's progress. How about games played?
Yeah, so I guess going way back was the Capital City Bloodbath. I wound up going kind of 3-3 because I had to drop in my second day in the morning because I had a flat tire. I actually wound up being stranded in Ottawa for 3 days.
Oh, no.
Oh no! I had a flat tire this morning on my bicycle, and
Slightly different scenario. But anyway, so that was really annoying. And so I missed my game. At least one game was an automatic loss. And then the last game I just got paired against the Ringer. Had a fun one. It's actually a battle report. And to answer your question about the movement trays, I was really happy to have them. They work super well. Lots of people are using them to move around their like big blocks of infantry. I, however, was a sweaty mess of panic the whole time because the movement of the like horde orcs, I was running about 120 boys.
Ooh.
So moving them, that was one thing. What I didn't realize was the dice. So put things in reference. It's not going to happen a lot, but say you get 30 boys in base, without the knob, it's 116 attacks. So
That's without Warpath.
That's just 20 boys plus one for the Choppa. If Gazgul was standing nearby, there'd be another +1 for Warpath. So you can get up to 6 attacks, which is nuts. So anyway, so I didn't have enough dice with me, and I think there's a lot of cool like dice rolling hacks out there, like rolling in dice boxes and all sorts of stuff that I'll have to bring if I ever want to run that army again, which I do because I'm really super pumped about orcs right now. And the other one too, actually, that I'd love to say that I really want to try is actually the Games Workshop branded dice rolling app, which I've downloaded. It's really cool, except for odd suspicion of dice rolling apps that people have.
Yeah. Well,
I'm getting some serious screw face at the table.
I love the idea, but I just see exactly where other people are coming from, right? Like the fact that it's Games Workshop one kind of offsets it, and also the Chess X dice
They're
are
horrible.
not statistical anyways.
They're horrible.
So it's this weird.
And I'm telling you,
thing.
when I'm counting that many dice, and I'm trying to move fast,
You're gonna make mistakes.
I'm screwing up. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like a dice app to me is as long as you use the same dice rolling etiquette, roll in front of your opponent, say what you're doing, don't be a dick. The dice app would work well. But anyway, my most recent game was a league game for the GTA Masters League. running in direct competition with the Hogtown 40K League, and got curb stomped in the first round of the what we call the WAC bracket, which is the sort of championship bracket, versus the WAC bracket, which would be the lower bracket. But I lost immediately to a guy named Harry, who's actually on a competing podcast called the Drunken Dreadnoughts. Don't worry, they don't post it anywhere. I don't know how anyone listens to it. Anyway.
It's just for them.
So I played him with my Tau and just made... Well, he knew what he was doing, and I just made every mistake in the book. I deployed out of range with my marker lights.
What was he running?
He was running Blood Angels with, like a drop of Death Company, an assault unit with some plasma guns. He had a Leviathan Dreadnought in the back of that Storm Raven that he brought.
Storm Ravens can fit Leviathans?
It's got the Dreadnought keyword.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I don't like that at all.
Grumble, grumble, grumble. It was not a big deal. That was not the problem. There was a big unit of Last Cannon Devastators sitting on a thing that just shot me up.
Who does that?
Who takes 2 units?
Yeah. Anyway,
Nicholas.
So
Always.
the TSN turning point is I got the first turn, and
we don't watch sports.
I went, aha, Jay and Dan are back. And then I went, aha, and I moved my Pathfinders up. I used this ability that allows the commander to make everyone within 6 inches move and shoot. Had my Pathfinders line up that Storm Raven. I was going to shoot all these Seekers at him. I'd pre-measured everything, and then he was like, you have to measure to the base, not the model.
Of what?
Of anything. That's the way it works. It's base to base. That's how it goes. So the Storm Raven, you don't measure to its hull, you measure to its base. And I was 3 or 4 inches short of the base, and I was able to touch the hull.
Oh, that's right, because the exception to the rule
is when it says.
Is the Devilfish.
Yeah,
which says measure to the hull, not the base.
Yeah, there's a hover...
Right, well, that changes things for the Fire Raptor.
There's a hover tank thing. There's a hover tank rule in a lot of those types of vehicles.
Yeah.
And I was like, GG then. And I sat down. He's like, are you not going to do anything? I was like, I literally can't do anything.
And
so
Mr. Drunken Dreadnought didn't see you measuring everything very particularly to the hull and tell you?
Well, I don't know. It was a league game. I mean, it was a bit of a gotcha, but not really, because I knew that. I just wasn't thinking clearly, and it wasn't the last. It wasn't the last mistake I made by any means. But that was the major one, and I think we'll leave it at that. I lost horrifically. And over to you, Adam.
Well, I just want to pipe in. You gave me a little bit of shit this morning.
Oh, what?
Not mentioning that I had a Fire Raptor in my list.
Oh!
In our game. But to be fair, I didn't actually talk about my list at all.
That is fair.
Because everyone knows my list.
Yeah, everyone knows that Nick just runs a Fire Raptor. Yeah. It's his crutch.
So I think what could have been given some fairer due on that battle point is the fact that I had 2/3 of my list left that I played the rest of the game with. Rather craftily, and battled to a 17-17 tie. It was a great game. Can't wait for the rematch. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. I mean, it would have gone the other way around if you had gone first.
I don't know. I don't know if the Xiphon... Well, the Xiphon might be able to nuke because it's, 3 twin-link glass cannons?
2 twin-link glass cannons.
It's 2, so...
But I figured something out. The Xiphon's only hitting other flyers on 3s.
I thought it's hitting on 2s.
No, because it's hitting on 3s normally.
Is it?
It's +1, I think so.
It's +1, yeah.
+1 to hit flyers.
But it doesn't remove...
-1 to hit a supersonic.
The -1.
That's fair. Except I think there is a rule somewhere. Anyway.
You guys are dumb.
Adam?
I didn't play any games since 3 days ago.
Yeah.
What?
I found my old copy of Space Marine, the Xbox game, and was playing that.
You played that?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Never actually played that game.
It's a games play.
It's pretty fun. I like the way that they do the health system, so you gain health back by killing orcs and people. I'm like, yeah, that's how Space Marine would do. How about you, Nikki? You got any games played?
Nope.
Playing
2 this afternoon.
Yeah.
So actually,
forward to.
The result of this is because we are changing our recording schedule for all of you who care.
Yeah.
We're going to record on Saturday mornings as much as we can and try it on for size.
Yeah.
And so this week is the week of transition. It's kind of like the when they phased out what's the one after grade 12? OAC?
OAC? I don't know. I went to high school and...
You mean the double cohort?
The double cohort. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
I stayed back a year anyways.
I just went to school in Newfoundland. So It really was.
So everything was just a half an hour
Yeah.
ahead.
I have a degree 30.
These are all Canadian jokes for all of our U.S. listeners.
You have those?
I don't even know if we have any list. You're here.
I'm here. Where's Connor?
Connor?
Can't be in the same place at the same time.
No, in fact, we have no proof that you're not the same person.
What?
What?
He sounds like a nice man.
Seen you in the same room at the same time.
He is a nice man.
Shout out.
What?
Ooh.
It's almost like if we get up early in the morning and we're not, like, a couple of beers deep, we're nice to our friends. This is weird. This is going to be upsetting to
Connor,
you.
I'm going to destroy you tomorrow on Sunday.
Thank you.
If I didn't win, then
You're forgiven.
you're forgiven.
Okay, well, that's hobby. Gotta get a new name for that. That's the progress on our hobby work and games that we have played.
Yeah, so stay tuned. Oh my god, just want to throw this out.
What is
New
that?
image of a blight drone. It's got like a combine mower on the
Oh,
front of it,
no.
which looks super cool.
Oh, wow, cool.
It's
Yeah, I
it's
like
a
that.
death roller on a blight drone.
Yep. And also this thing.
Okay,
We'll be back.
podcasts
You know
are
what? Cut this
mostly an auditory
I'm just
experience.
excited.
I know, pictures, like, what the heck?
Battle Brothers Studios, a commission painting service passionate about making your miniatures and your gaming table look great. Our philosophy at Battle Brothers is this: your army is our army. Every model will be something you can be proud to show off. Send us a message on facebook.com/Battle Brothers Studios for a free quote and make that dream project come to life. We also have something special planned for the release of 8th edition of 40K. Right now, get 20% off if you commission us to paint an 8th edition starter set, or get a 10% off Army Bundle bonus for painting up your new 8th edition 40K Army. Inquire with us on Facebook for full details.
Hogtown, Hogtown, Hogtown!
Saturdays at Sword and Board!
Rock and Bloor!
It's behind the pizza.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah!
Idiots. Alright, we're back. And Nick's just eating a pickle.
It was really good.
Dill of a pick.
So we're going to plug Adam's home business for a second.
One of-
Adam makes pickles.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I don't know why we don't call you, like, Adam's Side Hustle. Because it's always like, yeah,
Everything's
no.
a side hustle.
Yeah.
All the time.
I don't know what your main hustle even is. It's just,
Adam the Pickler Truax. But they're great pickles, and they've been soaking in a Caesar for about half an hour, so they're even better.
Pickle
Yeah.
Nick.
Yep. So, Psychic Ninja Warriors.
Yep.
The Grey Knights. I got no more nicknames.
Dude.
The Hammer of the Emperor.
Yeah, the,
Quite literally, they're part of the Ordo Malus.
Is that what that means?
yeah.
Malus. Mallet.
It's
Latin.
it's Latin by someone who's heard of Latin. Not someone
grammar
who's,
school Latin?
yeah. Like, that's finishing school Latin. That's not you've got a degree in a dead language. Yeah, so we're just going to kind of take you through what a Grey Knight is. We know that Space Marines are the paragon of the most powerful of warriors, but then there's more, because you can always put a hat on a hat.
Primaris Marines?
No, Grey Knights. So, unlike regular Space Marines who are just recruited from the general population, to be a Grey Knight, it's best if you're a psyker. So a lot of the time they are recruited off the black ships that go around
Recruited.
and recruit. Yeah,
You're going to be fed to a vegetable.
yeah. Or you're going to battle the manifestation of humanity's nightmares.
Or plugged into a spaceship and just forced to telepathically say things to people.
Yes.
Is that what they are, or are they warp aliens?
Get out of here with your warp alien theory.
So apparently it takes 1,000 Space Marine level style recruits, so a chapter's worth of scouts, to make one Grey Knight.
Yeah.
Did they just, like, combine them?
No, it's just that hard, guys.
Yeah.
They're doing chin-ups,
You're
push-ups.
saying 1 out of every 1,000 makes it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chin-ups, push-ups, anything else?
It's like 5BX all day.
Burpees?
Burpees.
It's crazy.
Kegel exercises.
It's important.
Basically, Drago sits on your back while you do push-ups.
Well, I mean, they have the 666 rituals that they have to complete. When a neophyte starts his training, he is given a number.
Sorry, go back to that.
What?
How many rituals do they have to
Oh,
complete?
it's 666.
It is the 666th chapter.
Yeah, it's just metal. This. I get why people kind of make fun of the Grey Knights because all of their fluff feels a little over the top.
Come again?
Yeah, wait till we get into it. So a recruit is given a number. They don't have a name. And upon completing their training and becoming a full-fledged battle brother, that's when they are given their name. And their name is also considered a weapon because it is in perfect opposition to the true name of a demon. So that's just more intense all the time. Like every bit of Grey Knight hood is just metal out and out. Their homeworld is the hidden moon of Titan, just off of one of the planets in our solar system.
Saturn?
Seems right.
Yeah.
So
It's a real moon.
Yeah.
We're talking about an actual planet? I don't know what it is.
But let me tell you about the full history of Banish, the homeworld of the... I'll just stop. But yeah, so back in 30K, Malkador hid Titan from the warp. So it's protected. It's a space reserve at this point. And Malkador did that because he's responsible for the founding of the Grey Knights. He founded the Knights Errant, which kind of eventually grew into the Grey Knights as we know it in future today. So, they had the Knights Errant, which they have no heraldry except for the Eye of Malkador on their armor, which eventually becomes the Eye of the Inquisition. And a couple of notable members of the Knights Errant are your boy Garrow. He was the first. Then there's Rubio, an Ultramarines Psyker, who was brought into the fold because they needed one. And then our man Adam's Gabriel Loken is found on Istvan.
Yeah, boy. There's actually a lot of really cool members of the Knight Errant. A lot of Traitor Legions, especially.
Their third album was just fire. It was amazing.
Oh, so hot.
Can you explain to me something, Paul? Who's Malkador?
Malkador is you don't watch Game of Thrones. You guys out there know who the Hand of the King is in Game of Thrones?
Yes.
So it's basically the person who's responsible for getting the shit done. The king says.
So it's a title. It's not a person.
No. Malkador is a sigillite. He's basically the hand of the emperor. He's he's human. Actually, no one's really sure what he is. He's like a high psychic potential human, and he just does a lot of work for the emperor. He gets stuff done, puts together the Knights Errant,
sort of
little things like that.
Yeah, operates outside of the bounds of the Inquisition, of the Imperium at large to get stuff done. Works directly with Primarchs. When Logar was censured for the Imperial worshipping the Emperor.
The Imperial Truth.
Nope. We're not even getting into that correction, Caleb. But yeah, no. As when that was handed down, the sigillite was there. He was like, you can't worship the Emperor anymore. Logar,
he went to Monarchia with the Ultramarines to confront Lorgar and the Wordbearer. So he's basically the voice of the Emperor.
So Logar freaks out and backhands this human in a robe, and he goes flying and just gets up and comes back to have the conversation. So it's he's clearly more powerful than me or you, because you don't think that you can take a full mailed fist from a Primarch right in the jaw.
But he did die when the Emperor had to get off his golden throne to go fight Horus. Malkador sat on the golden throne and it consumed him.
Cool.
So that's how he died.
So
R.I.P.
He's smarter than the average bear, but
so
dead.
These Knights Errant, what happens with those guys?
Well, eventually they just evolve into the Grey Knights. I don't know the ins and outs of that.
shrouded in mystery.
Yeah.
Is it? Is it?
For the purposes of this podcast,
It is.
Do you know more?
I do not. I was
Okay.
trying to make a clever segue.
Yeah. Well,
In his defense, I asked him last night to join us this morning, so he didn't have time to prepare. So we're all doing the best we can here.
my roommate came home like the same time I did last night and was like, "Hey, how was the concert you went to? Do you want to drink a bunch of beer?" I was like, I do. That does sound like something. I think we got into an argument with a pizza delivery guy. Anyways,
But my pizza.
Was he delivering pizza to you?
no. Hey. Anyways, my debauchery aside, Simon, I was wondering if you could take us through one of the most notable Grey Knights and contentious characters in the fluff. You want to put on a little drag show?
I would love to speak about the Supreme Grand Master, Lord Caldor Drago. He is the wielder of the Titan Sword. He is the coolest. If you started playing Grey Knights after they were already something. From what I understand, there was a kerfuffle in 5th edition, some fellow named Matt Ward.
Never heard of him.
Caused great controversy by getting Necrons to hang out with everybody, including the Grey Knights, and Drago was created. This is what I understand. So Drago, to me, is kind of cool. To a lot of people, stupid. And, well, screw those guys, because Drago did things such as carve his name in the heart of Mortarion.
They fell in love?
Yeah, it's like the arrow through the heart actual thing. But no, so Drago is obviously a very powerful, one might say most powerful warrior of the Grey Knights.
I feel like there's a million.
They're all the most powerful, but it's just sort of a double think thing you have to wrap your head around. So what happens with Drago is he's a really good Grey Knight, and he's fighting a whole lot of dudes, and he goes up against this demon called Mkar. Mkar, he actually,
True name?
I suppose. I wouldn't think they'd put his fake name in here. At any rate, right? He's threatened by Mkar the first time that Drago fights him. That if Drago were to return to the planet where they were, that he would be, he might be victorious, but he would, wind up stuck in the warp. So Drago, when the demon comes back after 100 years, after he's been banished, is like, screw this, guys, I gotta go fight this demon. And he goes down, and he fights Mkar, and... the threat was, victory is yours this day, mortal, but know that if ever you set foot upon this world again, you and all who follow you shall walk with damnation for 10 millennia. So Drago doesn't bring any pals, so he gets down there and he decides to banish Mkar himself, kills Mkar, and he gets sucked into the warp. So now he's like the... who's the Kung Fu master who just wanders through the warp? Kane. Now he's like Kane, but Caldor Drago in the warp, and he just sort of pops up wherever there's demonic incursions. And the Grey Knights happen to be there, beats ass, and then he gets sucked back into the warp. That's kind of his deal. It's pretty cool. So he's like super OP in the fluff, and not so much on the board anymore, but he's really cool. And yeah, these days, because of the great chaotic gash that has ripped its way across the 40K universe, his appearances are becoming more frequent. So because there's so much more demonic incursions and such. So in the current time, Drago is appearing more frequently, and the Grey Knights and the prognosticators are hopeful. Maybe this means something good.
This is why he is not as good in the game, because he's getting tired out.
Well, he's just everywhere all at once.
No time to rest.
There's
nowhere to lay his head.
No.
In the grim future of the fire future, there's only war's the only thing. That's it. I think I nailed the tagline.
To be frank, I mean, Grey Knights love killing innocent people, demonic people, other Imperium people. The Grey Knights, they're just gonna kill you because they don't even want you to know that they exist. We didn't even touch on this, but
exactly. Well,
yeah.
I think Nick can touch on this if he wants to take us through one of the notable battles, which is the First War of Armageddon.
Yeah, so you all know Armageddon. It's been huge in the fluff. What you don't know is there was a First War. No orcs.
But then
what was Armageddon first? Armageddon was the
It
planet.
was the planet that they leveled out, right?
Yeah.
For the giant parade.
Yeah, Illinois.
So when the Emperor left the Great Crusade, the Constructionorium of Arm of the Imperium leveled the planet and remade it, and and then they towed it to another part of the system. I don't know. This is all ridiculous.
the Mechanicum teleported it. They didn't. It was
No.
like, bloop,
They
bloop.
teleported it to another system, and it became Armageddon.
You wonder with power like that.
Yep.
The thing, when I heard that, I was like, that's going to mess up the orbits of every other planet. You just resigned an entire system to, like, catastrophe.
Damn dirty apes.
Yep.
Yep.
You blew it up.
So essentially, Angron actually prepared for this. Angron is the demon primarch of the World Eaters.
What do you think he does to get ready?
Yeah, I assume that it entails tons of blood and skulls.
Yep.
Standing in front of a mirror.
So this is actually Angron's
You're
attempt.
good. Self-actualization. You're good. You deserve this.
Just twitching his pecs.
He's Terry Crews.
So this is Angron actually trying to get the World Eaters back together for a world tour after Karen the Betrayer shattered them by killing a whole bunch of World Eaters on Scalathrax. So essentially, demons, Khorne Berserkers, Angrons, apparently 12 Bloodthirsters, that's a lot of Bloodthirsters, invaded this planet called Armageddon. Big planet, billions of people, kind of like a hive city. But what they didn't know was that the Space Wolves were there. And the Space Wolves, knowing they couldn't deal with this by themselves, called our boys
Grey Knights?
the Grey Knights.
Psychic Ninja Warriors?
Yeah.
Psychic Ninja Warriors.
And of course, World Eaters are notoriously stupid and got drawn into numerous traps over and over and over again by the Steel Legion, the Space Wolves, and the Grey Knights. And then essentially, the Grey Knights dispatched 109 warriors and attacked Angron directly. But they killed Angron and banished him for 100 years and a day, which in the lore of 40k is not that long.
It's like a provincial sentence.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like, okay, you got community service.
Yeah, like in the
You go back to the war.
in the grinding machine of the bureaucracy of the Imperium, that is like one governor requisitioning a vehicle.
Every time we talk about dates, we're always like, yeah, M31. That's 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Just like, no, it happened in 2016.
The Imperium would not have been aware that Angron A showed up and B was killed before he was back.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Some guy on Terra is like, hey, Angron's back, and they're like, oh, what happened? And they have the full story.
So even though they defeated Angron, only 13 Grey Knights survived. We're back with these numbers.
Yeah, portentous numbers. Everything in the Grey Knights Codex, like no numbers don't. Every number is like packed with
Loaded.
meaning.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets uber grimdark. So all of the human soldiers were either executed, sterilized, and placed in work camps. This is along with the entire population of Armageddon. They weren't all killed. Some of them were just,
Made in the servitors.
made into servitors.
Also, sterilizing a guy, like
Yeah, well, they were worried about demonic taint, like, passing on through generations. I don't know. But what's interesting is that the Grey Knights started destroying Imperial Navy and Adeptus Mechanicus ships, and the actual Space Wolves had to step in and use their own ships as shields to stop the Grey Knights from killing all of these innocent people. So the Space Wolves have never forgiven the Grey Knights for doing this, and they don't really get along. Space Wolves don't like the Inquisition. And then any world that came into contact with survivors that the Space Wolves saved were then exterminated. Exterminatused. That's not a verb. Were also put to exterminatus a couple years later. So Space Wolves completely failed. So this is what the Grey Knights do. They are mass murderers.
So they're obsessed with making it so, like, I guess even being aware of demons and chaos is, threatening, because then the demons can manifest. It's like the Beetlejuice thing.
Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice.
oh nuts.
At least Michael Keaton is a great guy to have around. Regardless, it's like the Beetlejuice thing. So that's why they're doing all the murdering of the innocents. It's really a greater good thing.
Stop trying to justify it, you sicko.
Look, it's a, it is sort of a scenario of,
The needs of the many.
It might be the needs of the many.
Well, the ends justify the means.
And the ends justify means.
I'm going to jump in with a story somebody told me maybe 6 months ago about the Grey Knights, and I found it quite interesting. It's they were like trying to kill a changeling or something, and the changeling ends up they like kill a whole bunch of people, demons or whatever, and the changeling manages to get out onto a ship, and then the Grey Knights were like, oh, and it's an Imperial ship full of Imperial people, and they're like, well, we'll just have to blow up that ship.
Thanks for making it easy.
Yeah, because there's a changeling on there.
Except they were the ships escaping the planet filled with hundreds of thousands of people from the planet they were there to save.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so
It reminds me of Team America World Police.
they blow up the ship, and then it turns out the changeling wasn't actually on there because, changeling being changeling. And it makes one of the Grey Knights ponder for just a quick second that maybe that wasn't the right thing to do, and then the story is like the changeling just smiles. That's all he wanted, right? Because the whole thing is like they don't follow the chaos, right?
Yeah, and just having someone like a Grey Knight question the validity of an action is a huge psychological victory.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Well, especially we can get into how they're made a little bit. So they're basically just also we did talk about that.
Yeah.
But we missed the point where they're completely mind wiped. They also have purity seals implanted underneath their skin.
Gross.
Yeah, they're like warding tats.
Yeah. You ever seen Supernatural?
Yeah,
Kinda like
those
that.
guys from Supernatural.
Man,
How'd that show gone for so many seasons?
I started watching the 11th season. It's not bad.
Fans, man.
Yeah.
Fans keep stuff alive.
It's true.
As we play a game of tiny plastic miniatures
Mm-hmm.
that is nigh on 25 years old now?
30.
30?
This is the 30th year.
See, I needed to lowball it because then I didn't feel as old.
Yeah, that's true.
You are.
I'm
I'm the youngest person here.
Absolutely. And you were saying?
I forget.
Excellent.
How they're made.
Oh, how they're made.
Mind wiped?
First, the Grey Knight is taken to the indoctrination chamber, and then purity seals are implanted underneath their skin. You guys want to ever watch something funny? Watch how it's made in reverse. And it's like how it's made the TV show, but they take the product at the end and reverse the tape, and there's a voiceover of it.
Oh my god.
And it's like, first, this is separated from that, and then the molten metal becomes ore. It's weird. Go watch it. It's funny.
Yeah, that sounds like a good YouTube recommendation.
Yep.
So is there anything past purity seals under the skin? You took 2 swings at it and you get past that.
What's the origin of Grey Knight Gene Seed?
Well, a lot of people. Oh, do you want to take this one, Adam?
It's just one of the things that I know because I just read
Okay.
it. So apparently it comes from the Emperor himself.
Correct. Which
At least
leads
part of it.
Which leads some hot-headed Grey Knight players on the internet to believe that we're never getting Primaris Marines because the Gene Seed of the Emperor, I guess, might be beyond the clutches of that goof Call.
I love Call.
Call will.
Speaking of which,
Kill
a
a Grey Knight.
little aside. So another thing about the Grey Knights. So considering we're butchering the fluff, we'll just talk in some generalities about them here.
Heck yeah.
So one trope of the Grey Knights is that they're supposed to have the best of everything. They're supposed to have the fastest ships because they got to get to where the demons are. They're supposed to have like the coolest gear. They've got all the Nemesis Force weapons. They've got like sweet tactical dreadnought armor. That's a fancy way of saying Terminator stuff.
But then they have a thing that hooks. It's a baby Bjorn for your
They
Terminator.
have a Terminator for their Terminators. Mm-hmm. They have a high mark of power armor. But all of this now has been superseded by all the stuff that Call was holding out on them with on Mars, which I assume has been there for 10,000 years.
Yeah, like he definitely had to have a conversation with someone where they're like, "Give us your best stuff," and he's like, like best, or like,
Yeah, you know.
I got this stuff.
How about Stormbolters?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
we can put them on your wrist, and that'll make you very unique.
It's so
except,
cool, you just find...
They're awesome, though.
They're amazing.
If you get, I'm glad you never got close enough to shoot anybody in our game.
That's true. I don't think I shot anything. But that's not the point because they're psychic ninja warriors. Anyway, that whole ramble was to say that the Grey Knights, I guess, in the sort of the role they used to play was like the best of the best super elite. And now we actually have Custodes wandering around and we have Primaris Marines. So whither
And plenty of assassins.
the Grey Knights?
Like, there's Collectus Assassins just on factory line right now.
That's true. I don't know how many there's supposed to be. I don't know. I didn't count them. I don't know if there's been a census of Collectus Assassins. Maybe there are a bunch that hang out together in front of a line of other really famous people from the 41st millennium.
Oh, what are you trying to say? That there's some sort of improbable lists out there?
Oh, hey. This is not the place for that. We might cause people to swoon out on the other side of this.
Yeah, but some people are listening to this while they drive. We can't have them that distracted.
So we're talking about an all characters list, just as an aside to an aside. And there's a ITC tournament organizers forum that I get to be a part of, and those guys were offended by that list. So I think the all character army will be eliminated by GW very soon.
It's gotta be like it's just not.
There's some honestly, it's fine until someone does that, because the main issue is the Collectus Assassin. Which is,
amongst others.
You can only hit them on 6s. Mm-hmm. And the minute you get one in combat, if that's the closest unit, and it's in combat, you can't shoot at other characters in the army. So that's kind of the gimmick of the army. So it is very much...
The other thing is it's smite-proof, which is kind of neat. So Colexus cannot be affected by psychic powers.
Oh, yeah.
So if they're at the vanguard of it...
but they can be targeted by smite.
Yeah, and smite is just the closest model. Okay, cool. They can't be affected. Sorry, smite. You're useless.
Yep.
Anywho.
I got one kicking around. I should throw it in my...
Yeah, they're handy.
Yeah. One or two.
I like the Vindicare Assassin the best. But we're not talking about Assassins. We're talking about Grey Knights. Anything else we want to talk about for Grey
What
Knights?
are neat fluff things about them?
You know what I just realized?
What?
So we did the Sisters, or Witch Hunters, we could call it, because we kind of threw the Ministorum in there too, last week. We're doing Grey Knights this week. Guess what we have to do next week?
I don't know.
I feel like you're going to tell me.
We're doing a Codex review today. We're not doing the faction.
Yeah. So why not get into some more crunchy stuff?
This is the stuff that you like.
I mean, I like the other stuff too. I mean, I don't know. The Grey Knights fluff, I can see why people want about it. I love, like I was saying before the show, just projecting my own idea of what these guys are up to on them. I get that they're like super elite demon hunters and all that kind of stuff. But all of the like hyperbole of hyperbole that is their fluff, I just don't need to get into all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, like, to steal a line from Rick Sanchez, they clearly write their own press releases. Like,
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul described them as the paragon of Space Marines, and literally the Paladin, which is the bigger Terminator, their sergeants are paragons. So the whole army is a bit funny in that way.
A little bit.
But I think they're actually, like, on the tabletop, if I could just generalize a little bit, I remember in 7th, that was the Grey Knights that I got to know, and there was really, like, from a really just hanging in there perspective, they were really hard. Like, if I could, like, just do something cool in a game, I was usually pretty pleased with myself. And the thing is that they took that 5th Ed Codex, which everyone really complained about, and the way they fixed it was a lot like what they did to Dark Eldar and Orcs and all that kind of stuff, was they just took everything out of it. So it was super boring. It was like a very vanilla book, and there wasn't a lot of, it was before formations really came into their own, so the Grey Knights were really boring. And so the new book, and I guess a lot of people on the internet probably would disagree with me, but I find the new book really reflects the idea of the Psychic Ninja Warrior, in the sense that they are able to do cool stuff like teleport all over the battlefield. They have really cool reserve mechanics. So yeah, half of them have to stay on the board to start, but you have an army of power armor Terminators or Dreadnoughts using stratagems, can appear anywhere you want them to. They have really, actually, I think, pretty potent psychic powers that let them do cool things. But because of the rule of one, it's not game-breaking. So it's a lot of fun. They're described as the hammers of Titan. I saw somewhere someone described them. It's actually more like a scalpel. You have to you have to use them and apply them in really clever ways. And in so doing, though, you have the opportunity to actually play an elite force, which oftentimes just gets blown off of a table. With the Grey Knights, I feel like you can play your elite force of a small band of cool dudes and actually hang in there, which is a lot of fun to play with.
Yeah, they are. I feel like when they were originally released into the model range, they were sort of supplementary. They were meant to be that super elite army. I remember when they first dropped a chapter approved in a White Dwarf. They still had like the really dark black armor in the fluff. Does anyone remember?
Yeah,
I remember they had a second edition model.
Yeah.
Like they had like the...
It was a Terminator.
Yeah, they definitely had, and they had halberds,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like that really old, like they're about the size of a power armor marine now.
Mm-hmm.
So they've existed for a long time, but I think it wasn't until Demon Hunters in 3rd edition that they became something.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So is there a unit that anybody wants to talk about specifically? Get into the...
Well, we could rehash a little bit. I think there's some new unit additions that are kind of neat that came into Grey Knights. There were a few gaps, like for example, they didn't have access to a lot of like 2 of the newer flyers, so those guys got added: the Storm Hawk and the Storm Talon.
Yeah. Yeah, the little gunship.
The little gunship guys.
I love that model. I love the way that it performs on the table as well.
Which one?
The Storm Talon.
Yeah.
It's just so handy.
It really is. It's quite cheap.
Yep.
It does its job.
Yeah, if I didn't have an aforementioned painted up Xiphon, I would probably be gravitating to get one of those guys because they're cool.
Even if you have to eat that -1 command point, eh?
Wouldn't have to. They'd fit right in the old Force Orc. Wouldn't be an issue.
No, I mean the Xiphon gives you the -1 command point
so
for your Grey Knights.
Oh, that's if I bring them in their own little auxiliary. So getting into like, that's like army construction problems that the Grey Knights run into. But a big new unit that was launched, probably there's 2. One was, I assume there was someone on a mission out there on a forum somewhere, writing Games Workshop constantly, where are our Terminator armor chaplains? Why can't we do that?
It makes sense.
I don't think it does make sense for Grey Knights to have chaplains.
Regardless.
Chaplains are there to like keep the spiritual purity of the chapter, and like every Grey Knight is basically
Unassailable.
yeah.
Yes.
But it's nice to... You know what? There needs to be a place where a chaplain has an easy job.
Also, chaplains were made to enforce the decision of Nikeah, which is no psychers, and Grey Knight chaplains are psychers.
That's going deeper than anyone who's thought about Grey Knights has ever thought.
Yeah. And everyone uses psychers now.
Regardless, now you can have a dude with a skeleton face in your Grey Knight army, and it looks super badass, especially that old sculpt. Also, for some reason, the Grey Knight army that I have has a chaplain conversion, so I assume there were a group of people out there really wishing they could do that. The bigger, more headline-y unit, though, is, of course, the man himself, not Drago, but one of the other 8 guys themselves, Grandmaster and a Nemesis Dread Knight.
I love the Grandmaster Flash idea of just sticking a dude... Like, one of your best units, let's stick it in one of your best units. It's tacos stuffed with lobsters.
Yeah, my Noise Marines killed yours in that game.
They did,
That was
but
beautiful.
Instead of shooting the power armor dude off the objective, which allowed me to tie the game. So that Grandmaster
Didn't know
his
you had
job.
the objective because you weren't reading the objectives out loud.
Oh,
I had no
sure.
idea what you had.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So before that devolves further, the Grandmaster in a Dread Knight armor does a lot of things for that unit that I think kind of 8th edition hurt it. So Dread Knights were one of the 7th ed things that people would run a lot of because they were kind of tough. They were monstrous creatures, unlike Dreadnoughts, so they had that benefit. They could shunt moves, they could move 36, all that kind of stuff. Now, though, they move 8 inches. They have a ballistic skill of 3. All their weapons are heavy, and they're bloody expensive. I think like to have the 7th edition traditional loadout's like 250 points or something.
That's pretty big.
So they're a lot. Although I've
Things
been
are
reading,
tough though.
I've been reading a lot of people who still play them because everyone owns a ton, so I think they get a lot of play. And a lot of people say they do a lot of good work for them. I immediately, upon reading them, didn't really buy in, and I own 4. And that was in the index days. But now we got the Grandmaster opportunity. So now you take the fact that he's got a 2+ ballistic skill. So even if he's moving, he's hitting on 3s, which is fantastic. He's got a reroll 1s bubble around him. He's otherwise, I think, statistically basically the same, including the degrading profile and all that. And on top of that, though, he does have 2 powers that he can know, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So that all makes them a lot better, and it's for like a nominal point increase. I think like 50-ish points.
Yeah.
So I don't know how effective it would be, and I restrained myself from doing this against the cause last time. But maybe for Grandmaster Dread Knights and Drago would be a good time. Maybe that'd be a party.
I'd love to see
We'll
it.
see.
Yeah.
It would probably still get nuked to a Fire Raptor, but maybe it'd be fun having those ninjas teleporting and jumping all over the place.
The Fire Raptor lasted one turn. You're giving it a lot of credit. You blew it out of the sky.
You
really
have
quick.
to blow it out of the sky right away.
Immediate target parade.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I find this an interesting little weapon option that it has.
Leave me alone.
Shan't.
The Gatling Silencer.
Gatling.
Gatling Silencer.
Gatling Silencer.
Gatling.
It's 12 shots, but it's only strength 4. But it does D3 damage.
It has no AP. It's awesome.
And no AP.
When you used that on me, I was like, what? What do you mean it doesn't have any AP? You're like, it doesn't have any AP. But it does D3 damage. I'm like, oh, God.
So,
just like crawls in your armor and like eats you or something.
It's a force. It used to be force, right? So it used to instant kill people.
but it was still straight. The profile was identical, except it had force. So you would cast force on yourself, and if you got your guy that you were shooting at to fail a save, like a 2-up, he was dead, which was real lolsy. No one played it though. So like the preferred arm like way every Dread Knight in America and Canada is probably armed right now with a broken off incinerator with a new silencer glued onto it and a side cannon and a heavy side cannon. Because it used to be you always use the incinerator, but with a Grandmaster, he's got that sweet ballistic skill. You probably don't want to have an auto hitting thing anymore that can shoot once to 6 times.
Yeah.
You want 12 shots doing D3 damage. It's pretty sweet. So, yeah, Grandmaster kicks a lot of butt.
It's interesting that this is a model in a codex or a unit in a codex that doesn't have a dedicated model.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
That's
Because they took away things like chaplains on bikes and librarians on bikes and all that.
yeah. So
I don't know.
yeah.
There's no good answer.
I'm not like mad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, there was no model releases with this codex either, right?
No, there's absolutely not. There was a kit bashing tutorial on how to make a Grandmaster and a Nemesis Dread Knight in the back pages of a White Dwarf.
Ooh.
The month it was released. There's actually very little fanfare to this. I actually splurged for the limited edition codex version of it, which literally is just a different cover. It has like a little nice, it's got a little bit of texture to it.
Didn't come with anything?
It came with absolutely nothing. I do. I mean, I also got their cards. Don't get me wrong. After like suffering with this army through 7th, and by suffering I mean like they were just boring. You had to really want to play them. Mm-hmm. You weren't usually running them very like in tournaments or anything. They were just really boring, and you wish there was more to them. And I'm just so happy that there's so many more layers.
So what's in your collection of Grey Knights?
Right now I've got probably around 20 Terminators / Paladins. I've got a unit of 10 Interceptors. I've got about 15 Power Armored Dudes. I've got the Xiphon. I've got a Storm Raven, 2 Land Raiders, 2 Doomglaive Dreadnoughts. That's about it. But that's like a ton of points.
Yeah.
Now
Gloomglaive.
A Gloomglaive. Can
Yes.
you explain that for people like perhaps me who aren't super familiar with that unit?
So the Doomglaive is the Grey Knight's Forge World Dreadnought. So it's in the Imperial Armor book. Doomglaive
I didn't
is
know that.
he's right here. So he, I guess, is more similar to a Librarian Dreadnought from the Blood Angels list. So he has the ability to cast 1 psychic power. He has the Venerable Dreadnought stat line. He's got like a 6-up Feel No Pain, which is kind of handy.
Yeah.
He's super wicked. Because now there's stratagems for the Grey Knights, so which is a double-edged Nemesis sword, if you will.
I won't.
Because the Grey Knights are super elite, super expensive, so they have a lot of trouble filling out those force orgs to get the command points that they need to use their cool stratagems. So that's kind of a catch-22 that the Grey Knights currently experience.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to have a lot of Vanguard detachments.
You could. I mean, the thing is, though, like, if we get into a few more examples of, like, if you look at, again, I come from a, like, what's hot in tournaments type thing. So that's usually an indicator of what the most efficient units are in the book. Believe it or not, strike squads, so just their power armor dudes with storm bolters, Units of 10 of those coming in and shooting 40 times is apparently pretty good.
Yeah, you would take that. Take that every day of the week, wouldn't you?
You put a silencer in there too. So like a regular one would be
guys,
6.
Why can't you hear a pterodactyl go to the bathroom?
Because the P is silent.
Really good. So yeah, the Stray Squad is actually really popular unit, really and really, I think, just good. Which is cool to have Power Armor Marines doing fun stuff. We're going like way out of order, but
Who cares?
yeah. So like looking at like the stuff that supports the core units, you obviously have your psychic powers, which are a big deal for the Grey Knights. So coming out of the index, they had basically like a way to deal some mortal wounds that wasn't smite. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Purge Soul.
May have been, yeah. Was it?
Mm-hmm. That's the one where like.
No, that's what the purifiers have. Purge Soul here.
Purge Soul.
While you look it up,
it's a psychic power. So I think it's you cast it, you pick an enemy model, you both roll off, add your leadership.
Oh, he's absolutely right. It's
and
Purge
then,
Soul.
Yeah, the Grey Knight. If the Grey Knight character rolls higher,
yeah.
So leadership plus their D6 roll, the other person suffers the difference in mortal wounds.
But they, yes,
it's pretty good if you get a good roll. If you're going like leadership 8 against a lower leadership 7,
and lots of the Grey Knights are mostly like leadership 9, so they have a good opportunity. The thing is, obviously, a lot of the stuff that you'd want that to work really well on is going to be pretty high leadership.
Yeah.
But they also, out of the box, had Gate of Infinity, which allows them to basically pick up a model and deep strike it. So within 9 inches of another, or outside of 9 inches of an enemy model. They also had Hammerhand, which was +1 to wound. So think of it as like if you're wounding on a 3, now you're wounding on a 2. It means that like a strength 4 Space Marine can wound like a tank on a 4-up. It's pretty handy.
Or if you get like anything into like with a knight,
sure.
All of a sudden,
you're now
5-upping a knight. Yeah,
that's threatening.
The Codex brought in some really, really cool ones too. 2 of them I really like. One is just for funsies. So one is, of course, Sanctuary came back. This was one of the boogeymen of 7th edition.
I'm so happy you failed that psychic test in our game.
So this one basically gives you +1 to your invulnerable save, or if it doesn't have an invuln already, it gets a 5+. It's any Grey Knight unit, so you can do that to a vehicle. You can do whatever you need to do, and it's any unit within 12 inches of the guy casting it.
That's pretty good.
Immediately when people saw this, they were like, "Oh my god, we can cast that on Drago. We can put it on the Grandmaster Dread Knight, who has a 4-up invuln, and so there are all these combos to get to a 2-up invulnerable." So the only thing in the FAQ that got released about Grey Knights was, no, you can't do that. You can only improve to a maximum of a 3-up.
Oh.
Yep.
I didn't see that.
Yes.
Honestly, I would love it if they just, like, across the board, there's no invulnerable that's better than a 3-up.
Yep.
That would be beautiful.
Except for the Dark Eldar one. I love the Shadowfield.
Or if you... This is kind of a neat mechanic. Or what happens now is there's a stratagem that, due to feats of grammar and language, allows you to spend 2 command points and take a 3-up to a 2+. It's just that Sanctuary...
For one turn.
For one turn. Yeah. Sanctuary can only get you to a 3-up max.
Okay.
So anyway, and then there's another one which is really fun with those guys bouncing around like the Interceptors or like strike squads coming in from outer space, is called Astral Aim, which basically a unit within 18 inches of the Psyker doesn't need line of sight to shoot its weapons. So you can drop those. You can drop those 40 shots behind a Munitorum armored crate and blast whatever's on the other side of it to bits, which is really fun. Also, it ignores cover, which is a nice little bonus. And then finally is the one.
Paul's angry.
Finally is the one. Oh, I'm sorry. That's your special.
Yeah, ignoring cover just sticks in my cross so much. It's like,
well,
we're Ultramarines. We can fall back and shoot. And
well, it's when someone's just like, oh yeah, I have this random ability that lets me ignore cover. You're like, that's all I have.
I honestly, like, just as an aside as always, the ignores cover thing, I really believe doesn't seem to be a big deal because no one gives themselves their cover save bonus, I'm noticing. So, like, it's really easy to just... Basically, if you're an infantry unit, you have to be towed into a piece of cover, and you get your bonus. If you're any other unit, you have to be towed into a piece of cover and obscured 50%. So in a lot of situations, you are actually getting a cover save.
Well, that's because the FAQ specifically said to within is not entirely within; it's just a part within. Because when that
on or within,
yes,
yeah, is the word. So I think a lot of people are actually not giving themselves that +1 because if you think of it, a Space Marine getting shot by bolters when he's in cover is getting a 2-up save.
Yeah, that is brutal.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
if a silencer was shooting him as well. So the Vortex of Doom is the last one, which is this is one that I think a lot of people are going to chase just because it's a super fun thing to try. But essentially, if manifested, a vortex opens above the nearest visible enemy model within 12 inches of the Psyker. That model's unit and every other unit within 3 inches of that model suffers D3 mortal wounds. The number of mortal wounds inflicted is increased to D6 if the power is manifested with a psychic test of 12+.
So there's an important thing to note in there. It's every unit, not every enemy unit. So this is a danger close. You do not want to cast this when you're within 3 inches of the unit.
That is absolutely true.
You're firing.
Yeah, that's serious.
And it's closest too, right?
Yeah, so it works like Smite.
So just be very careful, because that could be hilarious.
It's one of the... You've highlighted other reasons why I probably won't be shooting any vortexes around.
Does it hang around on the table?
No, it's not cool
anymore.
like in the old days. But you might be able to combine that with a neat stratagem, for example, like psychic channeling, which is roll 3 dice and rather than 2 and pick the 2 highest rolls to try and get you up to that 12.
12 or higher?
12 plus, because also the Grey Knight's army rules are +1 to manifesting, +1 to deny.
Yeah, that's an important thing to...
Yeah.
We probably should have covered that at the beginning of this section.
Yeah,
But that's okay. They have another ability, too, which is
a round table discussion.
Yeah.
Because we're at a round table. You guys don't know that.
I know that.
No,
They don't know that.
They don't know that.
Out there in podcast land.
The royal they.
So yeah, adding +1 is huge, because I remember in our game, you're just like, I'm like, I didn't get it off. He's like, no, it went off.
Yeah.
But they also have a cool special rule where they reroll wound rolls for demons, and as I mentioned in the last podcast, if their smite, which is a kind of nerf smite, but since everybody has smite, it kind of balances itself out. Does 1 mortal wound, it's only range 12, and then against a demon, it auto does 3 mortal wounds, which is brutal when it hits your Helldrake.
And on the stratagem side of things, just some like cool highlights. One thing that was pointed out on a podcast called Signals from the Frontline, which is great.
Stop plugging other podcasts, dude.
Dude, we all listen to all of the podcasts.
We're in an open relationship with our listeners. Listen, guys, we support whatever relationships.
Perhaps those listeners will tell their listeners about us. You guys, I mean. Only in death does duty end. Is 1 command point for Grey Knights. It's similar. It's basically when your character dies, you can shoot or fight again. In the Space Marine Codex, it's 2. So that's kind of neat. So the Grey Knights get a discount on it.
This stuff drives me crazy. Like,
the other one that's there's actually a couple really cool ones. One is the mentioned before, the Teleportarium.
Teleportarium.
The Teleportarium is an actual stratagem. I'm surprised the Cause isn't playing Grey Knights, just because he could play a stratagem called the Teleportarium, because I know how much you are a fan of Teleportariums.
And the word.
I didn't have any in my new list. My new list is a complete gunline. There's no deep strikers.
I'm just referring to one of the original episodes where you said Teleportarium like 17 times.
You're welcome.
I really want to like collect all the different like words for the place that deep strikers are before they come in. Like so far,
They're actually pretty boring for the most part. Like
No,
Tau
the
come from Mantas.
The Necron ones are awesome.
yeah, it's
Oh,
like
yeah?
there's a hyperspace oubliette, and there's a
where do the flayed ones come from?
it's like a Chernobyl. It's basically like an abattoir.
Yeah.
Like it's just so much fun to like think of an intern having to think up these terms.
So, as an aside to your side, the Necrons apparently are pals. This must be that guy Matt Ward again.
Who?
With the Grey Knights, because the Grey Knights have like Tesseract vaults that they use to capture demons with. So I don't know who's cavorting with Necrons, but someone in the Grey Knights.
Yeah, something that we didn't mention in the fluff is that the Grey Knights have access to technology that is taboo in the rest of the Imperium. They actually work with some aliens, in fact. The Jokero.
Jokero?
I don't know.
Whatever.
They're orangutans, and
Space
they
monkeys for some reason.
yeah, and they just like build stuff. So I guess the Inquisition was like, "Hey, you're probably better than you're bad." So, they build stuff for them. So you that's a theme with the Inquisition where it's like, well, you can't have Satan weapons, but we're going to be using these Satan weapons.
Yeah, the Death Watch do the same thing.
Exactly.
They're like, yeah, we got this stuff. It's awesome.
They also have the best of the best, and no one else can have weapons as good as them, except for everyone else.
Death Watch bolters are pretty awesome, though. They kept their special issue ammunition.
The Teleportarium, returning to the task at hand here, basically allows a Grey Knight's unit to be placed in the Teleportarium and Deep Strike. There were a number of units in the old book that, because Grey Knights for some reason don't have drop pods, couldn't Deep Strike because they didn't have the Deep Strike special rule. But the Teleportarium now lets you take a Dreadnought or Purgators, which are the heavy weapons team, like Grey Knights, Devastators, and Purifiers. And you can now Deep Strike them for the cost of 1 command point. Two other ones that people really think are cool, and I agree, are the Psychic Onslaught and Cybolt Ammunition.
Oh, Cybolt Ammunition.
So the Psychic Onslaught, basically anything that's a silencer or a Psy-Cannon, gets +1 and -1 extra on their profiles. So, +1 strength and -1 on its AP. So that silencer is now strength 5, AP -1.
So, yeah.
It's a heavy bolter. It's pretty sweet.
How many command points is that?
That's a 2 command pointer.
Ooh, that's big.
Cybolt Ammunition on the other side is anything to do with bolters with the same effect. So the Storm Bolter becomes strength 5, -1.
my
So that's
goodness.
40 strength 5, -1 shots. Super awesome.
40 heavy bolter shots. Nice.
That's going to put in some hard work.
And that's going off automatically. Like, you don't need a psychic test for that.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, you just need the command points, which I'm just gonna touch on in a second. There's also heed the prognosticars, and here's the way that you
It just rolls right off the tongue.
heed the prognosticars. I hope that they don't have to shout that quickly
If we
to
play
avoid
again,
damage.
I'm gonna make you.
I didn't
say
use any of
the
these. I don't know
name
if I used
of
any
all
of
of your stratagems when you play them, and then read me a little blurb about them.
Pick a Grey Knight's character, add 1 to its invulnerable saving throws until the start of your next turn. So that's how you get Drago down at 2 up. It's pretty sweet
You know, I don't think the 2-up invulnerable saves are that bad anymore.
because you can't reroll.
Well, with the mortal wound,
True. Yes, that is a good way to just get right around it.
and there's so many things besides psychic powers that can potentially deal mortal wounds now. So it's still annoying.
Depending
But-
on who you are. My sisters don't feel that love.
You have no way. Oh yeah. Well, I guess there's nothing even in the.
Dude, just get some
just psychers.
assassins.
In the single,
psychics.
and that's like when you're looking at things from like a single book perspective, and you want to play single faction. Like you're always like, not every army should be good at everything, and that's just the way it is. One problem though is that the Grey Knights have, like, Gilliman. One of the things that makes Gilliman really stupid and annoying, amongst many reasons that he's stupid and annoying, is that he gives you 3 extra command points or 2 extra command points. And then every time you use one,
You get it back on a 5.
you get it back on a 5-up. So 1 and 3
And you can
come
roll
back.
that if you fail it with a command point.
That's, awesome. So you can just spend the whole game re-rolling command points.
Recursion?
Anyway, there's no character in the Grey Knights that gives you any kind of a buff to stratagems or anything like that. So really, if you wanted to run a command point heavy Grey Knights army, because I think they have the Brotherhood champions, and they may be rocking around 100 points. That might be your cheapest option for an HQ or a Tech Marine, in which case you're also losing the benefits of all the really cool characters that Grey Knights have. But, you're spending minimum 150 points on any of the good ones.
Yeah.
And going up from there. So, basically, long story short is, it's really hard for Grey Knights to get the command points that they would probably really enjoy using. So what you probably have to do if you want to do that is you got to turn to some sort of a command point farm, be it like a detachment of Astra Militarum, maybe some guard, or you could even look at making them an inquisitorial detachment. That's what I'm going to do with my Elysians.
Nice.
So like there's ways to do that, and that way you can get some command points that then support these guys. But the Nova Open just happened, and one of the more popular Imperium soup builds was like a detachment of Grey Knights with 3 big units of strike dudes with storm bolters dropping down and annihilating dudes with the +1/-1 on your bolters.
That's so brutal.
It is pretty cool.
Do you think? How do they get the strike squads to drop down? They use the command points to do that.
No, it Strike Squad strikes, so it
has
teleports.
deep strike.
Yeah, it already has.
Yeah, some units.
So what's
have
the
the
value to interceptors versus strike squads then?
Interceptor is your assault troop. So an interceptor moves 12 inches. I believe it ignores intervening terrain, obviously. And once per game, it can do a shunt move. So
It's once per game.
Yeah, it can.
But there's a stratagem that lets you do it again.
Yeah, that complements it,
which is kind of cool.
I unfortunately never had a chance to really use them in the last game I played them, so I don't really know.
So the strike squad is really where it's at.
Don't side-eye me there, buddy.
The strike squad probably where it's at because the strike squads are also troops, OPSEC, so that's nice.
Yeah.
But you're going to need them to fill out your
battalion,
whatever.
Yeah, and these guys, they're 25% more points, and they basically.
The interceptors are super awesome.
They're fast.
They're really good,
and they can jump through things.
The only benefit is you get to do your teleport later in the game versus at the beginning of the game when you come on the board, right?
Yeah,
it's
but
a personal teleporter.
But I mean, combined with the 12-inch movement, that's huge. Like that's why I got them first turn when I played them because I was like,
do a 12-inch movement.
Yeah, I don't want these things
okay.
jumping around the board, and then once they finish doing what they need to do in one sector,
it's the 12-inch move I missed. There you go.
One thing I'd love to
teleport sound
touch on super fast is Terminators versus Paladins. Unfortunately, right now, like in the indexes, Terminators were famously a little too pricey. And then when the Codex dropped, they got even more expensive. So a Terminator is twice the cost of a Power Armor Strike Squad guy. They're both in the troop slot for Grey Knights.
Ooh,
but a Terminator for that extra doubling of price gets you +1 to your armor save. Basically, it gives you +1 wound, and I think that's about it.
Better leadership,
maybe better leadership on the 5-up invuln. Yeah,
that's a good deal then.
It's not, because then you have a Paladin, which is like 5 or 6 more points above that guy, and the Paladin is 3 wounds, and has, I think, another attack. Let me just see here. Anyway, the Paladin is a far superior version of the Terminator. He's just not OPSEC. Mm-hmm. And also the Paragon, which is something that not sure a lot of people notice, is a 2-up weapon skill. So, the Sergeant of the Paladins hits better, and especially if you want to give him that Demon Hammer, which gives you -1 to hit. Now he's hitting with his Demon Hammer on a 3.
Do you think that's why they just went with the 2-up? Because the idea of hitting on a 4 with a Demon Hammer was just...
Well, he looks like, honestly, he's really beefy. He's almost like a mini HQ. He's leadership 9, which is just as good as most other HQs. 3 wounds, 3 attacks. Yeah, he's awesome.
That's a unit of 3, not a he.
No,
you're talking just the Paragon.
The Paragon himself is like,
one of my
pretty decent.
We didn't talk about warlord traits or relics, but very quickly I'll talk about one of my favorite things to kit out. One of the warlord trait everyone really likes out of the book is pretty obvious. It's called First of the Fray. So anyone within 6 inches of your warlord can re-roll charges. Which is good and bad because Grey Knights, like I said, are not the hammer everyone wishes they were. So you may want to charge when you're coming in from Deep Strike. You may not. Anyway, but the problem is if you put that on, say, a Nemesis Dread Knight, and he has like a really big reroll your charge bubble, but he's also a Nemesis Dread Knight that everything on the board wants to murder in its face as fast as humanly possible. So you're going to give up Warlord really quick. So a trick I've been seeing other people doing, and something I like to do too, is you give Warlord to something like a Paladin Ancient or an Apothecary, so they become more like support units rather than your frontline assaulting dudes. So that way you can get your Dread Knight way up in front, and your character can hide back, and you protect the Warlord a little better. Against Nick, I ran a fun unit, which was the Paladin Ancient, so he's a banner bearer. Mm-hmm. There's a relic banner that basically gives him a 3-inch, it's a 6-inch smite range with D6 automatically.
Wounds. Cats.
Yeah.
And I had him hang out with Brother Captain, which doubles your smite range. So he was smiting at...
I don't think you got it off.
Yeah, that's how I killed the Stormraven, I'm pretty sure. I did 5 more wounds to the Stormraven.
That's right, yeah.
The Fire Raptor.
That's right.
So it did kind of work. It was fun. And then on top of that, the banner itself gives you +1 leadership and +1 attack to all Grey Knights around you. So that one buffing unit is dishing out mortal wounds. He's buffing attacks and allowing you to reroll charges. It's a lot of fun. And if you give him Gate of Infinity, he can get the heck out of dodge if it gets a little too intense for him, and you protect your warlord.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Any final thoughts on the Grey Knights, gentlemen? Psychic Ninja Warriors? I enjoy playing against them.
I love them. Maybe one day I'll run them at a tournament because I think you can hang like against the top tier stuff. Probably not.
Oh no, that's like.
But you can take pieces and make good lists of them. But if you want to run pure Grey Knights, you're probably in it for a crafty, fun time. And I think ultimately that is what I don't know. What's the one who likes combos and sneaky stuff? The Johnnies. You guys know that one? The different types of Magic card players?
No.
Oh, anyway.
We have standards.
Perhaps it's time for another podcast. It's kind of a crafty army. The first version I ran against Adam in 8th edition was 2 Land Raiders and a Storm Raven. And it was...
That's the one you refused to appear on camera on?
Yes. Had a bad day.
What happened?
It was a bad day.
It was a bad day. So yeah, that was fun because I was basically automatically go first, and it was just hyper elite, and you can do stuff like that. So basically, pick the army you think looks like fun.
Yeah, for hyper elite, I was surprised that I had less drops than you did.
I think that was I don't know how that happened. I didn't bring a transport. I guess is the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Although I had the Razorbacks, the strike squads were in there.
Yeah, you did.
But I went with the Xiphon and some other stuff rather than just a Storm Raven.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was the right call.
Did it feel right?
Felt okay, I thought.
Okay. Well.
It didn't go so well.
You
Although
tied.
I tied. Anyway.
He was really hoping for that win, it looks like.
You need that W.
Yeah. Post the W up on that board.
I was not expecting an unconstitutional army list, that's all.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. That's it for the Grey Knights. And some shade being thrown my way.
You
live under an umbrella tree.
Yeah. You're gonna name your firstborn son or daughter Fire Raptor.
Oh my god. I played and won constantly when 8th edition came out when there was no Forge World units, so you can cram it.
That was at least a week and a half.
No, that was about a month. Until they had the indexes out.
Oh, for Chaos, maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
Anywho, razzing you, it was a wonderful game, and it gave me a chance to play these lovely Grey Knights.
Yeah.
They were super cool and a lot of fun. I hope that came across.
Yeah,
It definitely did.
I think we got that. And if not, we explicitly just said it.
Yeah.
Great.
We have made subtext text.
If you're into psychic ninja warriors who are fighting against the odds and are the best of the best of the best, except for all the other best of the best of the best stuff, then you want to play Grey Knights.
Now I know how Will Smith felt in that training scene in Men in Black, where
go deeper.
I'm looking at your cover and I'm kind of wondering what they're doing.
They're just standing around.
Blessing stuff.
yeah,
But
smiting.
what's with this Death
crucifixy?
Star satellite dishy thing?
Oh, it's a probably a rune.
Prognosticar, I bet.
Yep.
Yeah,
They've got to heed them.
They're like summoning their own demons.
Or
just
maybe
so
that's
they
a
can kill them.
teleportarium.
I think it's teleportarium, Adam.
Jump in the satellite dish.
Yeah.
Go
Gentlemen.
for a ride.
What time is it?
Well, it's time for a quick break. Don't do that. Don't do that. We're going to take a quick break. I think Simon needs to...
Fun time's
Return to the
It's going to be 5
teleportarium.
minutes if you want to stay.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
we'll see.
All right, we
After
won't
the
take a break. There is no break. There's no breaks on the hype train because we're going into fun time.
Fun time.
Fun time. All right, we're moving into part 2 of the Death Guard focus. Death Guard's coming out. I'm excited. I don't have any Death Guard
We
model.
got the first half. Death Guard focus? Is this from last?
No,
this is the last fun time?
The last fun time was the first week. The second more fun time.
This is why you don't bring someone blind into fun time. I'm sorry.
No, it's
I tried
what's
not
fun
to.
for us. So we've got the Legion special rule for the Death Guard now, which is brutal. So all infantry, Hellbrute, units in a Death Guard detachment do not suffer a penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons or for advancing and firing assault weapons. That is so good.
So it's kind of like, what's it called? Slow and purposeful with a little bit of fast and purposeful.
But it gets better. It gets better.
Tell me, how does it get better?
Tell me.
Nicholas?
So in
Slowly.
addition, a unit with this ability can fire rapid fire weapons twice at a range of 18 instead of only half their weapons maximum range.
I've gone cross
They can fire rapid fire weapons twice?
At 18.
So
You mean they can rapid fire them?
yeah,
Yeah, at 18.
At 18.
So not fire your rapid fire weapons twice?
That's what rapid fire is. You fire it twice when you're within your second minimum.
No, different things.
No, rapid fire 1 becomes 2 at 12.
Firing twice is totally different.
No,
it is.
It's totally different, Nick.
I'm reading the rule. It says, in addition, a unit with ability can fire twice with rapid fire weapons at a range of 18 instead of only being able to fire twice with them up to half the weapon's maximum range.
They really worded that poorly.
They did word that poorly?
Because
But
the way that's written is I can split fire my rapid fire weapons down to like one shot here, one shot there, as opposed to...
We'll have to read the rapid fire rule in the book.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, because now your combi bolters are putting out 4 shots at 18.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah,
That's really good.
that is precisely what that means.
So I think you are right. I don't think they will be getting Havocs in this edition. Everybody in this codex will have Disgustingly Resilient, which is ignore wounds on a 5-up, which is going to be insane.
They're going to have some buffs to that, probably.
Oh yeah, there's definitely. Well, we talked about Warlord traits in the
right.
last one to bump it up to a 4-up. So here's a list of things they can use from the Chaos Codex: Lords, Sorcerers, Cultists, Hellbrutes, Possess, Spawn, Land Raiders, Defilers, Predators, and Chaos Rhinos, and 9 completely new units.
9.
9.
Handy.
There's probably a few of those are probably characters. And
How
stuff.
many of those are chaplains in Terminator Armor?
Probably none.
I would say none. Typhon's going to be in there. That I promise you, that's the new Typhon. Typhus, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Yeah, they're going to be great. They've got some cool psychic powers, so you add +1 to wound in the fight phase, and any to wound rolls of 7 up inflict an auto mortal wound.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
Got to nail that 6.
Yeah, so it's 6s,
Yep.
right? Because you're getting +1 to wound, so that's awesome. There's another one where you add +1 strength and toughness to an infantry unit.
Man,
That is really
Death
good.
Guard, I'm not gonna lie, they look mean.
They look so good.
That would be funny if you ran the Typhus Poxwalker Horde,
Yep.
because they already get
Now they're toughness 5.
5, right? Yeah.
Yep.
holy cats.
A whole bunch of cultists just running around. We're starting this face grades.
Yeah.
Pumping it up at the gym. Taking that pre-workout.
Am I jumping ahead? Have you done the one with they spoiled some stratagems? I was listening.
That was last episode.
Okay, just the one where they make them so they kind of have a character rule, so you can't shoot them unless they're the closest unit.
Yeah. That's so good.
You just trailed off in disgust.
I'm excited. I want to see some people. I know you've started your Primaris Marine army from scratch. I'm excited to see some people do some Death Guard stuff from scratch. I've always liked them as a Legion. Find them and the Emperor's Children to be like the most flavorful of the Chaos Legions, because I've never been a huge fan
Oh,
of.
thanks for making me
Siege and
think
Corn.
of the flavor of Nurgle. Well,
And their models are just top notch now. Like
Yeah.
they were okay before, and they're kind of easy to paint and look really nice because Nurgle just is that.
Yeah.
But now they're like fantastic.
And they're conversion appropriate things, right? That's the cool part about Nurgle is you see so many custom things out there. There's not a lot of Nurgle armies that are identical.
Green stuff is just Nurgle stuff. You just goop it on there, and it looks like it's goopy.
Did you see the new dice for Nurgle?
I did not.
oh god.
I'll need to see that. One thing I think with Nurgle that's going to make the biggest difference, and this happened a bunch with these sorts of previews, is we have no idea what all this stuff costs. So I think that'll be a big wild
Well, these
card.
dice cost $40.
They have not tested those dice.
So basically, for anybody out there, look on the Games Workshop website. It looks like a hollow dice cube with like some sort of boils sticking out of the holes. Where the
Looks really
numbers-
cool, but
Like-
probably only rolls 3s.
It's like my Death Watch dice, where you roll them and you're like, okay, every time I roll 4 dice, there's at least one in there. This is not how this is supposed to work.
The
These-
chest 6 are one bias.
These are so gross. I'm going to be like crossing the border someday with a pack of these and just get pulled over and be like, "So, are you planning an attack?" Like these are
Throw one at him and run.
Don't make me break this.
And I don't even know how you read them. You know,
They're the bubbles.
It's just,
I get more gas bubbles.
I get it, but when you're trying to go quick,
3. Yeah, I know.
it's like
I don't know. They look like
especially
pips.
the 5.
They look like pips.
The 5 is just like a mass.
Yeah.
Readability is not my problem. I just bet you if you roll those things 100 times or 1,000 times, you're going to find
10,000 times.
Whatever you have to roll
Yeah.
to get there. You're going to discover that one number is definitely going to be biased on that.
Yeah, and because this is an auditory experience, like Paul said, it's because it's kind of carved out. Like the boil part is carved out. There's a lot of carving out of these
It's
things.
also clearly 2 different materials.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. They're cool.
Super cool. Good thing that the dice roll isn't what decides happens in every element of this game.
So you only play with casino dice then?
No, but the dice rolling app has taught me a lot about how runs of luck really swing rolls, and like no rolls are anywhere near the average.
No, they definitely.
When you
are.
can see how many of each dice you get,
Yeah.
you realize just how much those swings like change things.
Well, the average is like I said, like 10,000 rolls, right? So it'll never work itself out in the course of a game.
You're gonna get streaks.
Yeah.
You can play 40k for years and just be on a streak.
Yeah.
As well.
We've all had those games where we just can't roll anything,
Sure.
right? And then we've had games where like
I am unstoppable.
I keep rolling 6s. Yeah. So that's it for episode 18. I hope you learned a little bit about the Grey Knights. We are now introducing a feedback loop into the podcast where your mind will be wiped and you will be sterilized, and the Inquisition will come to place you into a work camp soon.
Or it could be one of those. Who are you?
So this is going to be awful to edit.
This is silly.
Guys, thanks for joining us. It's just Inches and Cubes. Relax.
Yeah. And I'm not actually on the show, so don't blame me.
Like a monkey in a rocket on his way back home. Okay.